guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to a sort of buildy thing new series on my channel. This is going to be inspired by Epcot. I was in Disney World last week, actually 2 weeks ago as you're seeing this, but for me it's 1 week because I'm sort of pre-recording a little. I'm giving myself a bit of a break, that's why I was gone last week, but I'm back with new videos and I'm probably going to be uploading this one first on a Monday. So this is going to be a new series, and what I'm going to be doing is basically, I was very inspired by all of the buildings and stuff they had in Disney World, and one of the really fun things in Epcot is the World Showcase, where they showcase like countries and stuff. So I'm going to be building houses or tiny houses, most likely tiny houses, but this one is actually a bit bigger because I did need it to have like 2 stories. I don't know. I probably like small houses, not necessarily tiny houses, but small houses, because I just prefer building small houses because I get bored very easily and I like small houses. Okay, I always get lost in big houses and then I don't have the motivation to build anymore, and then it's just sort of, I don't know how to fill the space up, so I just stick with small houses. And today we're starting with Mexico. That's the one of the first countries. You could actually go both ways, so it could either be Mexico or Canada, I think. I don't know, I've been there like twice now, so it's not like I'm an expert on Epcot or whatever. And I also don't know how accurate this is going to be or how authentic this is going to be to the original country, because this is like, it went through the cycle of being inspired twice, if that makes sense. It's like Epcot is inspired, like the Mexico bit is inspired by Mexico, and this is inspired by Mexico in Epcot. So it's like it went through the cycle twice, and then maybe it will get lost in translation, sort of like when you Google Translate something and you keep translating it, it starts making less and less and less sense and looking like the original sentence less. So maybe that's what's happening here. I don't know. Basically, this is inspired by the videos and pictures that I took and found on the internet of Mexico in Epcot. And more specifically, this is inspired by the inside marketplace area, sort of. If you've never been to Epcot, let me explain this, or I guess if you have been to Epcot and have no idea what I'm talking about, they have this main building. It's like, okay, Epcot in general, it's like a really big lake, and around that there's like little areas that are inspired by certain countries. So you have Mexico, Norway, China, Japan, England, Canada, France, I don't know, depends where you're from, America, which to me that doesn't make sense because we're already in America. I know that that's a thing and they're like proud of their country, but you're already in the USA. You don't really need more of the USA. I don't know, that's just my opinion. I think they could have put in a different country to, you know, have more of a variety and things people might not have seen yet. I don't know, that's just my take on things. But basically that's what Epcot is. It's like shops and a couple of rides, but mostly like shops and buildings and places to eat from around the world. There's certain countries, and this is Mexico. And in Mexico they have this main building, and you don't know what it is before you go inside. And I thought it was just kind of like a museum. The first time I went, I had no idea what was in there. So I actually at first didn't want to go in, but my parents were like, let's just look, let's just see what it is. And we went inside, and when you go inside, there's like this marketplace, but it feels like you're outside in the dark, like it's nighttime and you're outside. So it feels like you're in like a marketplace and a restaurant, like a little village in Mexico at nighttime, although you're inside, and it feels like you're outside. It's really weird. I think you need to look up pictures or like videos if you actually want to know what I'm talking about. I am thinking about putting up my sort of vlogs. They're not really vlogs. I can't pronounce that word very well. I'm sorry. Like videos, like vacation videos, holiday videos. I don't know. I always record whatever I'm doing on vacation because it's like, it's a good way to capture the memories. Because I feel like taking pictures is also a good way to capture the memories, but making a video actually captures the feeling, like when you put music. Like, I don't know, it captures the actual feeling way better than pictures do, so I started making videos of every single time I went on holiday or vacation or whatever you want to call it. So I'm thinking about putting those up on my second channel, which doesn't exist yet. I don't know. I'm really rambling here, aren't I? But anyway, the point that I was trying to make was that this is inspired by that marketplace, like the houses that surround that. This is mainly what inspired me to build this. And the thing I sort of took from Mexico is lots of like sand colors, like beige colors, neutral colors, and a couple of like brighter colors. That's why I tried to make the house blue in the beginning, but I actually thought that, and I'm trying to put in like blue accents, but somehow it just didn't work, so I stuck with the neutral colors in the end anyway. I also saw a lot of flowers, but that just could have been because it was in the flower and garden festival season, which was so much fun. Maybe I'll talk about that in a little bit, but there were lots of flowers around the park, and I want to keep that in here in all of these builds, even though I don't know. Again, I don't know how accurate that is going to be, but it's accurate to Epcot at the time that I was there, so that's what I'm trying to do. Also, lots of arches, so that's why I have those things at the bottom with the round things, you know? Yep, okay. Lots of detail, lots of balconies, like a lot of balconies, and I don't know, yeah, yellow accents, like flowers everywhere. I don't know. It was fun. It looks nice. If you want like a more accurate, I don't know, if you want to know what I'm talking about, you just Google like Mexico Epcot or something. You'll find stuff. But anyway, let's jump into some stories. So today I actually have quite a dramatic story from one of the days that we went to the Magic Kingdom. And if you don't know, that's basically the main park, I kind of want to say. It's one of the parks, and it's like a theme park. I don't know. If you don't know what Disney World is, I know a lot of people in the Netherlands that aren't really that aware of Disney World. It's like a theme park, like a really big theme park. There's like 4 or 5 parks there. That's basically it. And the main one is the Magic Kingdom, which is the one you probably know with the castle and everything. It's like the fairy tale one, the actual like Disney one. And we went the first day, we went to the Magic Kingdom. I always like to go to the Magic Kingdom the first day and the last day because it's my favorite, and I get to go twice, and then it's not as sad, you know. It's the one I want to go to first, but I don't want it to be over, so I go twice. The first day we went, we saw the parade. And there's a 3 o'clock parade, and basically it's a parade, and it goes through the streets of Disney World or the Magic Kingdom, and I don't know, it's a fun thing to see. And it's also really busy. A lot of people want to see it, which is understandable because it's actually really fun. But I have a weird condition which makes my feet hurt a lot, and I'm really sensitive to sun. So basically I need to sit down in the shade. And that's really difficult because there's like very, very few places you can actually sit down, and also very few places that you can sit down in the shade. So it's difficult. So we basically go there for, I guess, like an hour before it starts, and we sit down on the sidewalks on Main Street. If you are familiar with Disney World, in the shade, there's very few places, but if you go an hour ahead, you can most likely find a good spot. So we went an hour ahead, and then we waited for an hour, which is a really long time, but we weren't the only families waiting there. You might have small children, and they can see when everyone is standing, so they need to be in like the front line, so you need to arrive really early, or you're like me, you don't want to stand up, or you need to be in the shade or whatever. There's lots of reasons to get there really early, but like most people go at least 30 minutes ahead, and then there's people like me who go like an hour ahead. So basically we were standing there with more families who were waiting for like at least 45 minutes, and 5 minutes before it starts, a guy walks up to us, and I was sitting next to a trash can. Which I do on purpose because then no one is blocking my view. If they're standing up next to me, I can actually look down the street because, you know, I can see in front of a trash can. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I was actually sitting there on purpose. And he pushes down the trash can and goes to sit in front of it, which was really weird. And he was also blocking my view, and it's like halfway on the street, and you're not really allowed to put your feet very far into the street because you might trip a performer, which is not good. And he just, I don't know, it was like a weird thing to do, like suddenly sit down there. But he did that, and my mom and I were just like, I was there with my mom, just like, I don't know, FYI. My mom and I were kind of like, oh no, we can't see anymore. But I guess he's just sitting down there. We just need to accept that. And then a PhotoPass cast member went up to him. And a PhotoPass cast member is basically someone who takes pictures. And there's a lot of people walking around there. It's someone working for Disney who takes pictures of families, and then you can buy those pictures. And there's a lot of people walking around Main Street during the parade, because at the end of Main Street there's the castle. And there's no one in the streets because they clear the streets for the parade. So it's a really good time to take a picture, because there will be no one else in the picture when you're taking it off the parade. So that's why there's so many PhotoPass cast members walking around there. And this PhotoPass cast member comes up to him, and she's like, excuse me, sir, just so you know, you're not allowed to sit in front of the trash cans, and they will send you away in a little bit. And she's a PhotoPass cast member, so she's not allowed to actually send people away. She can just sort of notify him to let him know, you know, you're not allowed to sit there. You can wait for someone to show up, or you can just leave and find a better spot while there's not as many people. And he just looked at her and shakes his head and just looks kind of confused and continues sitting there. Which was kind of weird. I was like, why aren't you listening to him? I was really happy about it because he wasn't blocking my view anymore if he left, but he didn't. So that was just a weird thing happening. And he just continued sitting there, but it gets worse. Like, this is one of those stories that just gets worse every single time. So more of his friends show up. And they also want to sit down where he is sitting down. And there's not enough room in front of that trash can. He might have been able to make space for like one person, but there was like 3 people showing up. So he goes to sit down next to the trash can. He pushes the trash can even further away from the sidewalk, which is just weird. It's just a weird thing to do. You don't just start pushing around trash cans because they're in your way. Like, those need to be in their spots. It's not something you do. But he does it, and it gets even worse because he decides that where I'm sitting, there's not enough room because he wants to be next to the trash can, and I am already next to the trash can. So he basically shoves his elbow into my side and pushes me away. Which is such a weird thing to do. You don't just do that to a person. I was sitting there for an hour and he was there for like 5 minutes, and he just pushes me away like really rudely and sits down next to me to make room for his friends, which is just a weird thing. And also, to make it even worse, the little space that was left next to me, which was not a lot of room, I actually gave up to it, like a small girl that was running around somewhere, because, you know, waiting is hard when you're 5. And so basically he didn't even, he shoved me away, but he also took the place of a 5-year-old girl, which is so rude. Like, he might have not known that, but still. So, you know, it was weird. But my mom and I were like, okay, that's rude, but a cast member is going to come up to them and be like, you can't sit here, so it's all going to be fine. He's going to be sent away. And like I said, at some point a cast member comes up to him, and if you don't know, cast member is basically someone who works at Disney World. That's just what they call them. So a cast member shows up, and again, she is like, excuse me, you're not allowed to sit there. Could you please pick a spot somewhere else? You know, they're allowed to sit in front of the trash cans, like the PhotoPass cast member was actually already trying to tell them. And again, they just shake their heads, being like all confused. And at some point, the dude that was sitting next to me that shoved me aside, still mad about that, not okay, he is like, Spanish, please. So now we understand why they didn't listen to the PhotoPass cast member. But that also brings up the problem that they need to find someone who speaks Spanish to explain to them why they cannot sit in front of the trash can, or that they cannot sit in front of the trash can. So I just give up hope. I'm like, I need to deal with these people. They're not going to find someone who speaks Spanish in time, because in the Netherlands, like, no one speaks Spanish. There's like 1 or 2 people who speak Spanish. It's not like a common thing. So I'm like, oh god, they need to find a cast member who speaks Spanish to understand them, or just like a random person somewhere. And it's just, I just gave up hope. I was like, I need to deal with these people. They're going to be sitting next to me for the entire parade. But this woman, this hero, this incredible cast member just switches to Spanish. Like nothing is going on. And she's like, whatever she says in Spanish, it's probably like, you guys need to leave. She just switches to fluent Spanish, and I was so happy. It was like the best moment of my life. Okay, now that's a lie, but it was pretty cool. And at that point, I'm like, okay, everything is solved. They're going to leave. They understand now. They're going to leave this space, and I'll be fine. But the story gets worse. Like every single time, I think nothing is going to go wrong anymore. Something goes wrong. So his friends, like the friends of the dude who shoved me, they're just leaving. They're like, okay, well, we'll find another spot. But this dude is sitting next to the trash can, so obviously in his mind, he's like, I can just stand up here. But there's families waiting for hours, like an hour, to be in the front line, and he just cuts in front of them. He just stands up, and there's like small children not being able to see anymore. Like, at least I'm sitting down, you know? Like, people can look over me, and I was sitting there for an hour. Like, let's not forget that. But this dude was sitting there for 5 minutes before the parade starts, and he just stands up, which is not okay. It's like cutting in front of the line. And he also pushes the trash can back a little more, and I'm pretty sure he pushes into a couple of people who are standing over there, which is also, again, really not okay. So, understandably, the families that are surrounding him and, like, standing behind him now are getting really upset, and they're like, you need to leave, you need to go, you cannot be here, you cannot just stand up here. But this dude doesn't speak English, so he doesn't understand, and he's still like shaking his head and being like, I don't know what I did. And I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. Like, obviously you just cut in front of them and they're being really mad at you. Like, just, can you just understand what they're saying? I know you don't speak English, but like, you could just put the two things together. There's a logic here. You don't need to speak the language to understand this. I don't know. It was really weird. So these people get really upset, like, why are you just standing here? Go away. And he doesn't listen. So at some point, this man who was standing there for an hour gets really upset and actually pushes this dude into the street. Which honestly, like, normally I would think that's a bad thing, but he shoved me aside with his elbow. He shoved the trash can into people. He wouldn't leave. He just cuts in front of them. Like, I'm kind of okay with this at this point. And then a cast member shows up and he's like, excuse me, sir, you cannot just shove people into the street. And I'm like, you don't know the whole story. But I don't know. At that point, he did leave, so I guess it was all fine. But it was really weird. That dude was so rude, and I don't understand. I don't understand why he just did that. I guess he just thinks the world is his, and no one else can get in his way, or he just pushes them aside. I don't know. It was really weird, really dramatic. But before the parade started, everyone was back into their own places that they claimed for like an hour, and the dude was gone, and I had like a really good view of the street, and I was sitting down in the shade, so everything was fine. And this little girl who I gave up the spot could still be standing there, but I'm pretty sure it's just the parent picked her up or something. I don't know. Everything was fine in the end. But we're now approaching the end of the video. I am so happy with how this turned out. I think I did a pretty good job, and also it's just fun that it's something I've never built before. It's just a new thing to be inspired by, and I'm really excited for this series, and I hope you are too. I hope you enjoyed the story of today. And again, I don't know how authentic this is to Mexico itself, but it's pretty, I think it looks like the Mexico in Epcot, so that's something at least, and it's just something I've never built before, so it's fun. But that's it for this video, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye!